We live. Carla Moore, how you doing?
Hey, I'm great, Devin. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to see you.
Finally got you. Good night. We've been trying to do this is pre-corona. We was trying to get this done, and
We were.
you was having computer problems?
But we're here now. Yes.
We're here now. So we want to try to make the most of our time together. I know you're a busy gal. It's late there in Atlanta, and you need to get your beauty rest, although it's obviously been working. You don't need much beauty rest because it's working.
I have not been sleeping well, but thank you for that.
And I mean that. And so when I originally wanted to have you on, I wanted to talk to you about your principles for success and where you've been and what you've done. And you've done all these amazing things, and now you're really developing your own brand in the leadership world and going around the country and inspiring different folks to reach new heights. We'll talk about that some other time. I thought that it would be interesting in the time that we have during these current times. You were the first person I thought of over the last couple of days when I thought that I wanted to try to discuss this whole situation that we've got with somebody. And I thought, who better to do that than somebody who's from the same town that I'm from, that I'm sitting in right now, not far from where you grew up. I could hit your house with a rock just across town.
Centerville, Tennessee. Look, you see my Centerville place from Marketplace?
I see it.
I rep Centerville everywhere I go. Yes.
Very good. Yeah, we once were known for Minnie Pearl. Now we're known for Carla Moore. And so over the last several days, and I told you this before we started this, this whole George Floyd death and then the fallout after that.
George Floyd.
George Floyd. It has really affected me in a very monumental way, at least personally. Okay. And I grew up here. You did. I spent a lot of time in your neighborhood where a lot of black folks lived on Columbia Avenue. My best buddies lived up there, and I spent a lot of time up there. And we just always got along, I felt like. Or the relationships I had, we always got along.
Yes.
And I began asking some folks of my parents' generation and older. Now again, granted, these are all white folks who I've asked if they felt like that Centerville has always primarily racially gotten along. And to a person, they all said they felt like that Centerville has always been a very peaceful place for different cultures and races to live. But again, I just spoke with white folks. So at any rate, I just want to talk to you a little bit and let you share what's your memories of Centerville growing up and being a black female in our community, small Southern community, and then maybe even transcend to your journey to where you are now, and if you feel like racism has affected you in some way. I just want us to have some dialogue, and I just want us all to learn. I want us all to learn.
Yeah. And that's why I appreciate this conversation today, and I appreciate what you're doing. And even before we got on today, seeing your video and how you went to O.H. Bernard, which many people don't know. It is the community center. It is the center of where black folks in Centerville went go today for different gatherings, community gatherings, family gatherings. But it was also the site of the kindergarten of our town. And it was my very first school, and it literally was 10 doors up the street. And so for you to be so touched and so moved by George Floyd's death, by what it's bringing up for you, your thoughts, your conversations, how you've been shifted, moved, and motivated to think deeper and further, to drive to that school and take your video was really, really big for me. In fact, I saw the school and the school grounds before I really heard what you were saying. And I knew then, if anybody was going to do that, it would be Devin Pickett. So Devin, I thank you for that. And I want to actually talk more about what inspired you to do that and go up there. For folks who don't know, Centerville, Tennessee, population 3,000. Everybody knows me as saying, hey, I'm Carla Moore. from Centerville, Tennessee. It's about 45 minutes west of Nashville, population 3,000. What I don't say, we are less than 0.0 something percent. Black people only make up 0.0 something percent. And the last time I read, it was very, very low, like 0.0123. It was really, really low. So I want to set the stage so people can understand that this is a small town in Middle Tennessee. We were raised, I was born in the 60s. You went to school with my sister. You went to school.
Oh, Brandon, yeah.
Which is my middle.
I think I'm a year younger than you, right?
Yes, that's so Brandon. So you went home Brandon's class.
Yeah.
And so imagine, even though that's when we were born, we were growing up in 70s, 80s together. But we had this history on us. So I want people to get, those who don't know about Centerville, everybody knows I rep Centerville. But I want people to get that it was more white people, many more white people than black. And I want people to get comfortable with using those words, white and black. I will not be saying people of color to represent me tonight. I will not use the words diversity and inclusion, the phrase D&I, even though it's part of it, particularly when we start talking corporate and we start talking corporate social responsibility. But right now, all I can say is black. And yes, there's a diversity challenge in the world larger. Did I experience racism coming up from a little girl to now? Yes. And was it always couched under people of color and diversity? Yes. And what I say is, yes, we do have people of color. Yes, there's a larger diversity conversation. But Devin, what I hope to do tonight is just get people to understand that we have all of these people of color, but black people have a unique history with America. There is a unique history of black people with America. So not that wherever this conversation goes, it goes. But we will always be honorable, respectful of points of view and all of that. So setting that stage. So here I am, a little black girl growing up in a very small southern white town. Not only growing up in the civil rights South, I grew up in the Bible Belt too. So we've got this southern piece, we've got this Christian piece, we've got this civil rights piece. And Devin, yes, I felt and understood that I was different growing up. Now, the beauty is, and I know many people may have a challenge even believing this, the beauty is, while I knew all the while that I was black, there is something to be said about white people supporting, endorsing, lifting us up. And I'm going to say me. I'm going to use me for this because there are other people who may have other experiences. But because of the way Mama raised us, Mama and Dad, but Mama, Miss Carla Moore, she not only did she introduce us to Christ and have this spiritual foundation, she taught us how to be mannerable and respectful to all people, and she taught us the sense of community. Growing up in Centerville taught me the sense of community. How to
By the way, your mama introduced me to the world, because when I was born, Dr. Elrod, I came out of my mama. He hands me to your mama. So your mother was the very first person to hold me in this world, besides the doctor. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Devin, I'm about to cry right now.
No, that's for real, 100%. I'm sorry, I messed you up, but I just want to tell you, because you said she introduced all these things to you. She was the first woman to hold me in this world. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And for people who don't know, my mom was one of the first Black registered nurses, RNs, at our hospital, which was what, maybe a 25-bed hospital.
Maybe. Yeah. We've got a great facility for a small town for sure. But anyway, I apologize. I just need to interject that. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I can't stand you. I can't believe you.
I'm sorry. You're all right. I'm sorry. I should have warned you about that.
Let me tell you something. I've never heard it for my life.
Okay.
But that's how mama is. And that's how people I grew up with remember mama. And daddy's a school teacher. So people remember daddy from
Mr. Moore.
And so let's go with it. So I have a mom who is college educated, but humble, very spiritual, and taught us how to be loving and respectful and honorable of elders, peers, everybody. To this day, I still say, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I mean, even to some of my friends, I'm like, yes, ma'am, Janice. I still say, because this way she was raised. So here we are. We have her college-educated nurse, and I have a college-educated father who's a teacher. And I believe in my heart, and I've had this conversation many times, I believe in my heart that people saw us, the way we showed up, the way they taught us to be strong, smart, career-oriented, academically inclined, that teachers and other business owners, wherever we went, coaches, because we all play sports. You know, in Centerville, we got three things: school, sports, and church. And not necessarily in that order.
Not necessarily in that order. No.
So everywhere we went, we brought that type of spirit and energy because mama taught us that, and how to smile and be loving, be pleasant and friendly and open and welcoming. Because of that training, I believe that my experience in Centerville was one that was more welcoming and opening for white people or anyone else, but mainly white people, because I didn't really see other colors and races until I went to college. And that is a true story. And we'll talk about that on another series night. But all I knew was white and black. And while we did have this embrace from our teachers, Miss Bragg called me. We talked 2 months ago, my 8th grade teacher, English teacher. We talked a little bit just a couple of months ago. And she remembers me being a very astute and very friendly and warm and welcoming to everyone, not wanting anyone to feel anything bad. You know, we had to be the good girls, and mama taught us that. And as a result,
and you were.
Thank you, and the more girls,
I understand.
As a result, I believe that we had a reception, a welcoming that perhaps other people may not have experienced. And I only know this by having conversations with those other folks as well. But for me, I do remember that warm embrace from elders and older people in our community, teachers and such. But Devin, I also knew I was black. I knew that the people who I grew up around and lived with all lived on one street. I wondered that often as a child. I don't think I've ever even said this before out loud like this formally. I often wondered, why were our streets dirt roads? But when we hit city lines, it was paved. When I went from kindergarten to middle school, I remember that school, the middle school, being much more equipped with all of the technology of what it was back then.
Yeah.
The nicer water fountains,
Sure.
the nicer desks, the nicer books. I actually remember that. The more I thought about how we were going to have this conversation tonight, but I never really thought about it. I knew that the bus that I rode to school, when it hit a certain point, it became all black. And so my world was insulated in a way, Devin, with black. Of course, certainly by that time we were integrated, but I knew I was different, and I knew things were different. And I will say this, and I'll let you talk. I'm just going to throw this out.
Yeah, we listening to you.
I remember being called the N-word for the first time in my entire life, getting to the bus from school. And I can't clearly I didn't start anything. I was the quiet girl. In fact, I was the dark-skinned, heavy-set, smart girl, very quiet, who wanted to do everything right and wanted to please everyone. And so I don't know who it was. I know it was a white boy. But I remember being called the N-word in Centerville, getting on the bus while I was in middle school. So I've got the blend of this beautiful upbringing with friends, family, supporters, but I also understood I was different, and I knew that difference was my skin color. Yeah.
Well,
what did you feel? And what did you see growing up?
I don't know. It always was a curiosity to me as well. Why did all the black folks that I knew live on the other side of town from where I grew up? I grew up on one side of the town, not the better or the worst side of town, just was the other side of town. One side of Centerville Square I grew up in. And I'm sitting literally in that same neighborhood. And as I think right now, there is, I'm trying to think, maybe one or two black folks on this side of town. You know, one of them. But again, I thought, well, you know, all the white folks live on my side of town. Then I would drive across the square and up Columbia Avenue to go to Jeff's house or whoever, and it's just black folks. And I come to know, you know, A.P. Atkinson across from Jeff's. I knew where everybody lived. And it was one of those unspoken things, sort of like what you just said. I always wondered, but I guess never asked, well, why do all the black folks live together up there? And why do all the white folks live together over here? And it just, I guess I just felt like I was so warmly and readily accepted into the Columbia Avenue culture, if for lack of a better term. It just always seemed so natural to me. I just never really questioned anymore about it. But here's what got me. Of course, with the George Floyd death, got me to think about a lot of things. And I have a friend who does it's a food podcast. It's called The Sporkful. His name is Dan Pashman. He's on the cooking channel and all that. But he did a podcast, and the title of it was "When White People Say Plantation." And this was several months ago. I say several. This was a few months ago, long before the George Floyd thing. And he was talking with a black lady about how the word plantation is in a lot of foods. It's on food labels. It's the name of restaurants, whatever. And essentially, the conversations went like this. She said, when white people drive by a plantation home, an antebellum home, or read the word plantation, or hear the word plantation, or say the word plantation, it brings up this image she assumed of you know, these beautiful homes, well manicured lawns, you know, these big columns, whatever. But she said when black folks hear the word plantation, that ain't what they hear. That ain't what they think about. That ain't what resonates with them. And what resonates with them is something completely different. And for whatever reason, that podcast, even before what happened to George Floyd, that podcast really began working on me. I thought, wait a minute, you know, things that seem so sanitary and simple to me and very non-emotional, and words that I might just kind of throw out and not think about it, to whether it be a black person or a person of a homosexual, or a person that's a different political, it could resonate in a very meaningful, deep, painful, frightening way. And I just never considered that. And I'm on such this passionate journey of of um, of not apologizing for being white at all,
Right.
of not being ashamed of my race at all, but of wanting to, as best I can, in the skin that I'm in, to try to understand the plight of not only Black folks, but of Middle Eastern folks and of folks of great poverty and folks of a different sexual orientation, folks of all these different groups. You know, the Apostle Paul said that he was going to try the best of his ability to be all things to all people. And I still believe, you know, is that possible? I don't want you to be everything to everybody, but you sure can try. And that's the journey that I'm now on. I'm so passionate about this, and I don't think this is going to be something for me that's going to just kind of, you know how it works. You're real hot and on fire about something, and then it just kind of goes away. I don't know. This whole thing has just been really different for me. And, you know, I'm growing up white here in Centerville, with, as some would say, with privilege more than any, because I'm a white male in the United States of America. Some would say that's great privilege. You know, things were always, I mean, we were very middle class, working mom and dad 40 plus hours a week, you know, probably somewhat paycheck to paycheck like most everybody else.
Like my mom and daddy, yeah.
That's right. But I never felt uncomfortable in any way. And I know you guys did at times.
Yes, we did. It's interesting. David. So I love that you addressed the fact I'm not apologizing for being white. You can't. That's just how you were born.
Yep. And I'm proud of it. I'm a proud white man. You know.
And I'm a proud Black woman. I could have been born a white woman.
That's
you
right.
You could have come to this earth as a Black man. But we got what we got.
Yeah.
And it's now
to no choice of our own.
To no of our own, which can be another conversation for another day. But this notion that, so with that being said and established, the pathway and lineage of your blood has a different pathway and lineage of mine. And a relationship between these two different races put us right here today. You weren't a slave owner, and I've never been a slave. The lineage of our ancestors is what we're dealing with today. So I understand when you say I'm not positive being white. You couldn't help that. That's how God put you on earth, and this is how He put me. So I'm good with that, and I help people get that. I think where we want to go is what you said. It's now about, so how do I then take this history, this volatile relationship between races? You throw in other races, we can throw them all in here. How do I then show up, given my white male privilege? That is, if you believe. Do you believe you have white privilege?
At some level, I do now. In all honesty, probably a month ago, I would have never given it a second thought. But there's lots of other things. 100%. There's lots of other things that we could discuss. I've got so much I want to say, but we're on limited time, and we'll do this again. But I am slowly accepting the fact that yes, certainly there has become some privilege with me being a male and a white man.
And
a white man.
And so showing up in that white male body, meaning that's how you got to this earth. God said Devin Pickett will be a white male. Like,
right.
With that came, again, certain access and privilege. Privilege is defined as basically, whether it's Black privilege, white privilege, whatever you want to call it, that you can do, be, go, say, live any way you want without your skin color playing a part of anything. There's a privilege to not think that my skin color may keep me from something, keep me from saying something, keep me from doing something, keep me from moving somewhere, keep me from getting a bank loan, keep me from... So your lineage has had that access, power, and privilege, where my lineage has not. So now here we are, you and I, having to deal with this. And of course, metaphorically, you and I, but the world dealing with this. But the beauty in this podcast tonight, Devin, the beauty of your heart, and I'm telling you, I saw it in the video. I knew when you made that post that you were trying to say one thing and it came across something different, i.e. the word plantation. As recent as 6 months ago, I was attending a big event, and the opening night cocktail hour was at a location in South Carolina with the word plantation in it. Just 6 months ago, and I'm 52 years old, I knew what the word plantation meant to me as a kid. And just 6 months ago, I literally remember going, ooh, where am I going?
Did you really? I mean, literally that word caused you to think that 6 months ago.
It invoked a feeling.
Wow.
And I mean this. And
this is what I'm talking about. Yes.
I mean this from the spirit of love. I almost didn't go.
Oh, wow.
Now, of course, I was going to go, me in my mind. But for that split second, because here's what hit my head. Who planned this event? They knew Black people were coming. You actually chose a venue that had the word plantation in it, which takes us here to our talk. Whoever planned it probably didn't know.
No, they didn't mean anything by that. You know
that there are trigger words. It was a beautiful statement. But let the record show, when I hear the word plantation, of course, I do see the big white antebellum house with the long poles and tall columns. But I also see the shacks in the back. I see folks living on top of each other, trying to figure out what they're going to eat every day, what scraps they'll be given, if any. 15, 20 hours a day. See, did I do it? No. But ancestrally, that's what comes up. And I mean, Devin, instant. And this was 6 months ago.
Wow.
This was 6 months ago.
My goodness.
So yes, there are trigger words. Are Black people sharing this with you? Or I know you're having conversations with your world. Are other people giving you other words and phrases and things that could be triggers, or are you learning?
I've talked to a few of my Black friends, and they're sharing some things with me.
Okay.
One of my friends who you know very well, I asked him the other day, because it's not so much about being politically correct or socially correct or balanced, but I just want to know, I'm like, am I supposed to, when I'm referring to you, am I supposed to refer to you as African American? Am I supposed to refer to you as Black? And he said, no, refer to me as his name. He said, refer to me as what my name is.
And I get that. I
Yeah.
actually get that.
Yeah.
And I'm actually fine with either African American or Black, but I say Black A because it's easier, and Black because I think people get it, and it doesn't quote whitewash your name. It isn't African American. And I know we have Italian American, Jewish Americans, Mexican Americans, Puerto Rican Americans,
European Americans.
European Americans, yes.
Right. Yeah.
I get that. But Black to me cuts to the heart of the matter. And but the African piece, don't get me wrong, I now have action. So here's what happened to me since the George Floyd incident. For some unexpected reason, and I don't know if it's my ancestors or what calling me, but I have to tell you, Devin, I am now much more interested in my African ancestry. So much so, to the point I just made earlier, there are white people who can say, my Thai country is that. My Thai country and the region I come from, the region my people come from, this. I get the African piece, but Africa is big. I don't know what country my bloodline is from in Africa. I don't know what tribe my people have come through thousands and thousands of years. And so there's a company now called AfricanAncestry.com where you swap them out, you send it in, and they'll tell you the exact country. If they can tie African ancestry, they'll tie your ancestry back to the country and down to the tribe, the tribal people, perhaps where you come from. I've been so interested in that, and I've studied more about that. I say this to say and offer this up to all of my friends and family, white and black, or any other color or race. The education piece, Devin, is big, which is why I'm glad you're doing this to not just tonight, but opening up this conversation. Your Facebook video was courageous. I said to myself, Devin got in his car, drove to Columbia Avenue, and to see you stand in front of O.H. Bernard, the school where I went to kindergarten, which is now the community center. My house is 10 houses down from that. It meant a lot. And I knew that you really meant what you were saying. You were speaking from your heart, and you were speaking the truth. That's all I encourage people to do. Let's talk about this. It's difficult, it's challenging, it's uncomfortable. But we have to have these conversations in our homes and with our friends. We also have to educate ourselves. Black people can't be the sole educator of white people on our relationship, and vice versa. We all have to really get understand. I'm learning more. I'm reading more. Look at this. I bought this yesterday. There's a book called Race, Work, and Leadership. New perspectives on the Black experience at work. Helping people get a sense of what is it like being Black at work? Why is it when people are going to these offices in corporate places that they look up, meaning org chart, and you don't see a Black person clearly at CEO? There's very few Black CEOs in the country. The next level, direct reports to CEO. I don't see many Blacks. Most people don't at that level. The next level, still don't see Black. Maybe when we get down to vice president and director, which is where I was with HBO, proudly and happily so, because I believe, and I say this humbly, I use that position to learn and see what the landscape was and to pull up more diversity through the ranks. And I believe those are the things that we got to do. But we got to learn this, we got to see this, and we got to acknowledge, what if a company's customer base was 30% diverse, if you want to use that word? I believe the reflection of your consumer base, the percentage of your consumer base should be reflected in your leadership ranks. How can you take a third of your business, 20% of your business, 10% of your business is because of Black people? I believe 10% of your ranks, leadership ranks, should be that. Because it helps people see that you believe, you see and value that consumer base, whatever that is. But these all white, homogenized leadership ranks is not going to help us. And conversations like this will keep getting us moving. Because even though we're both from Centerville, Tennessee, we know business, we know corporate, we've earned money, we've got degrees, we're doing that. So because we take our whole selves to work and lead others, it's imperative that we educate ourselves and learn more about what it's like to lead people who don't look like you. Whatever that color is, whatever that race is. So it means a lot to me. And for those who don't know, this man right here, Googling, his name is Devin Pickett. He's been on the TV Food Network. He runs what? The most successful barbecue chain throughout our town, throughout our county. In neighboring cities. And I love entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I do too. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And the fact that you, as a leader, as a business owner, as a CEO of your own brand, you drove to O.H. Bernard. and stood in that front yard and said, y'all, I didn't know this.
And let me
I
tell
didn't
you,
know this.
it was hot, and I did it probably 8 separate times. I got up there, and the camera wouldn't work. I go home. I get up the next day. It took a lot of work. That's why that sucker was 17 minutes long. I was going to get everything I could get out of that because I put in the time.
I know you did.
And we could go on and on and on, but we probably need to close this up for now, and hopefully maybe we can continue this again soon.
Let's talk about some action items.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you can leave us with just a thing or two, as a Black woman, very successful, came from a small town, and has really just worked your rear end off to get to where you're at, and you're the next Oprah. I don't ever see Oprah without thinking about Carla Moore, ever. And so just remember me when you become a billionaire and throw my church a little money.
I claim that. I claim that.
Yeah. But tell so from just what would you, if I am a white person, so I'm a white guy and I'm coming to Carla Moore, and I just say, Carla, just give me a couple things that I can begin doing again I'm not denying my race. I love me. I love white people. I love my life. I wouldn't trade with anybody.
Yeah, it's yours.
But as someone who is somewhat struggling to try to see a little more clearly, where would you begin? What would you do as a person of color? Well, how would you, Black lady? Sorry.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And just this past Wednesday, or Wednesday last week, I had the humble, not just responsibility, but opportunity to begin to help forge these conversations with a big company in New York. It was a bank out of New York, and many people logged in to talk about here's what's fun. Our original plan was to just talk about leadership, just talk about what it takes, what enlightened leadership, a phrase I coined in my book, what enlightened leadership looks like, and how do we get there using passion, purpose, power, and then bringing that into work. They asked me before I went on, 2 nights, 48 hours before I would go on, I got the call. Says, Carla, can you please integrate, and include conversations around what's happening right now? Because we are trying to figure out just how to do this, and you could be our catalyst to start having and bridging these gaps and bridging these conversations. And so I, of course, obliged and worked on a 3-step. It's 3 words. And I'll continue to refine this as we go, because we're all learning through this. How many people have really had this type of open conversation about what's going on? People want to say, maybe we need some unconscious bias training. Unconscious bias. We're all conscious now. It's time for real talk. It's time for real life right now. So I boiled it down to 3 things for my leaders, and technically for anyone. Learn, love, lead. Learning's about truly self-educating. Drill down, Google Tulsa, Oklahoma. Google it and see what you find. You'll find that there was, after 400 years of captivity, being released, being free, there's a town in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a Black town, that had institutional wealth, that they lived self-sufficiently. Their own banks, hospitals, hotels, restaurants. These Black people became millionaires in this small town. Word has it that $1 stayed in that town 60 to 100 days before it left. It was all about self-sufficient worth. And in one night, it was leveled, and people were slaughtered, even trying to do on their own. That, along with many other towns. It happened in South Carolina, in Wilmington, in 1898, which people believe, I'll wrap it, you go with me, which people believe that particular incident actually started this, not only high racial tensions, but this establishment of better, of good over bad, good versus bad, good versus evil. Research, really understand what Carla Moore, how did I get here today, 2020? I got here through an ancestral line of events, occurrences that shaped me even today. So learn about what's happening. Find the facts of racial events that have taken place in the US today, in the world. So learn, ask, learn, love. The love piece is about relationships. It's about speaking up, saying something, even if it's just say how you feel, but staying silent, I don't know what you're thinking. In fact, your silence may make me think you're on the side of the oppressor. Say something, reach out. And people say, Carla, I don't know what to say. I'm a white woman. I have Black employees. I don't know what to say to them. I said, but I guarantee if you say nothing, they are thinking, We get that it's hard to talk about. Just say, listen, I am aware of what's happening in the world today. Whether you agree or not, whatever it is, say, I get that this is a tough time. That is a tough time. I want you to know that my doors are open. My doors are open for any time you want to talk. Because Black people may not be ready to talk right now to their bosses. But that love piece, create a door. Open it up that people can know that you do care. And that you are aware of what's happening. And that there may be a negative impact on you. But that you're here and you want to learn more. Devin, that's what you're doing. And the lead part is about action. Whether you're in a business, home, school, church, work, or play, or at your house, leading is about action. Whatever sphere of influence you have, influence it. Is there something you can do in your part that could help either elevate conversations, eliminate bias? Do you have a certain power where you can say, I actually want to hire this person. You've got two candidates, one white, one Black. The resumes look basically the same and the experience is the same. Maybe this is the one where you choose Black today. Is there something? Is there an opportunity to promote people of color, Black people? Whatever your sphere is, your sphere of influence, what can you do? What action can you take to create a different outcome? Be conscious and cognizant of that. Learn, love, lead.
Learn, love, lead. Get a t-shirt with that on it. I like that.
Yes. And that's from the heart.
I know.
And that's from the heart, Devin. I literally wrote that from the heart.
Well, you're obviously a very passionate person. If folks want to go out and grab a copy of it, they can get a copy of your book. And you want to tell them just a little bit about the title and where they can get it?
Yes, and it's interesting. I wrote this book a year ago. It hit the stands a year ago, and it's called Crash, Leading Through the Wreckage, Using Personal Power to Transform Your Leadership and Your Life. Now listen to that. We're at a crash moment right now. In the book, we talk about crash moments and how you can lead yourself and others through wreckage. We are at a crisis moment right now, and whether or not people say it's good, bad, it's high, low, I don't really see it that way. I see it this way. What we can't acknowledge, we're in something. We've got people from Syria, Belgium, London. Everyone is talking about race. And whether it's uncomfortable or not, it's time for us to get comfortable with the uncomfortable so we can elevate, so we can turn this thing up, make the wrongs right, and get this thing forward so everyone together can win and grow and develop and live the lives they've imagined. My book is on Amazon. You can find it at Amazon.com. You can find more about me at CarlaMoore.com or See More Speaks. See More Speaks on all social platforms. See more, Carla Moore. See more for your life. See more for your family. See more for others. See more.
When you coming home so we can just see you in person? You come home.
So you
we'll have a book signing. We'll have a book thing at Papa Cajo's.
I would. Oh my gosh, I would love that, and I want some of your barbecue too. Now I'm on a vegan 10-day challenge, but after I get off that, I want some ribs. And
I got you.
Family reunion is third weekend in July.
That's right. Are you coming down?
I'll be back.
You coming back? Okay, very good. Carla, thank you so much. And this will not be the last time that we do this. I'm satisfied.
Oh, no.
And we may just turn this into a little series, and I would love for you to continue to be a part of it. And I am so honored to call you a friend. And you know, we've known each other forever. And your dad, your daddy was my PE teacher. Your mom was my nurse. Your sister was my classmate. And so I love you so much, and I am so proud of you. And you have done our community. You've done well, and you've made us proud. And I thank you for coming on.
Devin, thank you so much for thinking of me to do this, to kick off your series. I know that you are the absolute right one to have these deeper conversations. Your spirit, your heart, I think I posted this on your Facebook, your heart was shining through on that video. We know you, Devin, we love you. And we're gonna need you to move our city, our county, our state, our country, our world forward. We're going to need people like you who are real about this thing and doing it with God and doing it with the right spirit and energy and connections and power. Thank you so much for having me tonight. It was a blessing to be here. So we'll talk more. You stay safe. Tell those kids I said hello. All your babies, tell your wife it was good seeing her this evening too.
Okay.
I'll tell my family.
Please do.
I'll
see her bring us something. Don't worry about that. I'll see her.
That's true. She does go on more.
She does. It's good to see you. We'll see you again soon. I love you.
Yes, you too. Bye, Devin. Thank you.
See you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.